Hello everyone, watch this review here with some quick thoughts on and highlights of Toy Fair 2013. I've been meaning to put together a video about this for quite some time, but I was sort of burned out about writing about the event for Tomo Pop, so it kind of takes off a bit of steam. At any rate, there were some sort of big reveals or at least unveilings of content at Toy Fair. Some surprising, some not very surprising. Like we'd known about it ahead of time, we just hadn't seen the actual things. And some things, very disappointing. For instance, I hadn't seen the new Star Wars items before then, so basically, so a lot of the lines going incredibly scaled back. It's going back to a sort of 5 points per articulation thing. Let me look at this. This is terrible. This is the new 3 3/4 inch figures. They will still be doing stuff like they had been doing under the Black series, but as well as the 6 inch line, mind you. But this is the sort of new basic stuff that's sort of appealing to kids. Now, besides doing a 3 3/4 inch version, they also have a 12 inch one, which shockingly looks even worse. It's like, how do you produce a bigger figure that looks worse than the tiny ones? But wow, Hasbro, you've outdone yourself here. I've seen the 12 inch ones at retail already. They are horrendous. There's something really bizarre about the design where it's like kind of scrunched together. It looks like you sort of scaled an image, but you didn't scale the proportions equally. It just sort of upped the height, and then the width is all wrong. It's bizarre. At any rate, the bigger news, of course, is the Star Wars Black series, which is a line of 6 inch figures. So we're finally getting 6 inch Star Wars figures, as well as the usual 3 3/4 inch ones will be branded under the same series, and apparently I do not have the images here. So far, they've only announced they've shown 4 figures for it. Luke in his pilot outfit, which looks pretty cool. The Darth Maul, which I wasn't overly impressed by. R2D2, who I think is kind of an odd pick when you're sort of launching a 6 inch line. They should have went with somebody more proportioned and stuff, or you could better make use of the scale with. But R2 has like a bunch of interchangeable parts, like the pop-up little eye thing on the top. I think that's what you'd call it. And then, the little gadgets in the chest. And finally, a Sand Trooper, which, again, is kind of an odd choice. The 5th figure that they've announced, but they haven't shown anything for, is Boba Fett, who, of course, is the sort of most exciting one of the bunch. At San Diego Comic-Con, he will be getting a exclusive version with a Han Solo and Carbonite, so that's definitely something to look forward to. I'm not sure why they wouldn't start with a Darth Vader, because it's sort of the big expectation, but hey, whatever. Now, in other news, I was looking at some of the Transformers stuff. By the way, they canceled the Transformers Prime series. I guess after Beast Hunters, that's it for it, so that's pretty disappointing. At any rate, this huge guy here is Metroplex. Trying to remember how tall he's going to be, but this is definitely something that was like over 20 inches, I believe. But he's going to run you $125. The robot mode looks kind of wonky just because he has this really weird chest. And then his 2 transformations kind of look weird as well, just because you can't really transform something that big effectively. I mean, Tidal Wave, they managed to do something with, obviously, but this, it's clearly just the guy sort of spread eagle with his arms out. The things just transformed a little bit to make it unmistakable. That was just city mode. This is like a spaceship mode, which looks a little bit better, but still not impressive. On the Marvel front, we saw the remaining 3 figures for the Iron Man Marvel Legends series, which includes Ultron. Obviously pretty huge news because Toy Biz didn't do a traditional Ultron. This is closer to being a traditional Ultron than, what that version was. Granted, Marvel Select did do a traditional Ultron, but I don't like the look of the huge ball joints in the legs in that one. They just sort of stand out. This version is just a redeco of Titanium Man from the Iron Man Armored Avenger line. It's clearly just painted silver, and they added on some bits to make him look like Ultron. Still a good looking figure, though. The actual figure he's based on is, it's okay. I wouldn't say it's overly impressive because it uses, some of the older jointing systems and stuff, as opposed to the things popping into the Marvel Legends line at the moment. We also saw the Iron Patriot for the movie version of Iron Patriot, which looks okay. Not overly impressed with it. And then the Iron Man Mark 42. Once again, this is a film version. Looks like he has ankle pivot and stuff, which is cool. Once again, we're only getting the upper torso joints, so they're sort of taking the conventions from their smaller line, putting them in the larger. It's a little bit disappointing, because they could have done torso and waist joint. They've chosen not to. I think he looks fine. I'm still not sure I really like the movie version or movie costume, but I'm getting used to it. Then we have a whole Wolverine themed line, much like the Iron Man Marvel Legends. It doesn't seem to be based on the movie at all, or the upcoming movie, but you can kind of assume this is sort of why we're getting one. I mean, first off, we're getting this really decent looking Wolverine, which I believe is probably based on the mold used for the X-Force Wolverine. It was released in the multi-pack, and then I think it's getting a general release as well. We have a Cyclops who looked a lot more impressive at first glance. I'm not so much liking the design here. It just looks like his body's way too thick for some reason. We're also getting a Phoenix Force Cyclops who looks a bit cooler. Same basis, but given that he has got the additional sort of Phoenix emblem on his chest, it does look a bit cooler. We're finally getting a good White Queen. That's pretty huge news. And when I say good White Queen, this is a really awesome head sculpt, but the body is just another recycle of that way too tall female mold for the Marvel Legends line. I'm not liking the fact that every female seems to use it, so they're all sort of the same height, which is kind of tall for a female. Now, she wasn't displayed with a cloak, I guess, but I would assume she probably would come with a cloak. I don't know. I haven't really been following X-Men lately. Although I've heard that there are some pretty major shakeups with the title. Also, we're getting a Rogue. I mean, this has been quite a while since we've had a Rogue at the 6-inch scale. I assume this is probably a more recent outfit. Again, it's sort of a decent looking whatever, but, given that it uses or reuses a lot of the same parts, I'm not so fond of it. Interestingly, it kind of looks like a different height here, so I'm not sure where it loses a little height, unless they just have the knees bent in a little bit. If you look closely, though, that definitely looks like the Black Widow torso, which they've used at least, or reused at least like twice now, I think. Once for Mystique, and then, I'm pretty sure they used it one more time, but I can't remember on who. Could also be going crazy. It's always a possibility. The Build-A-Figure for this wave is Puck, which I'm sort of noticing a trend here. A lot of the tiny Build-A-Figures that have opted for things that they produced in the Marvel Universe scale already. Like Rocket Raccoon's the Build-A-Figure for Wave 3 of 2013. And whatever wave we're getting the Jean Greys and stuff. I'm kind of happy about this, but he's got like no articulation, which kind of sucks. Now we're also getting a sort of kiddie line of Wolverine figures. Very basic stuff. Kind of like that Silver Samurai's look, but other than that, I don't know. It's just sort of cheap. Those will be like $6 each, so whatever. By the way, let me just show you the Sabretooth that's coming out with the Wolverine Legends. Really liking the head sculpt. Body needs something. It just looks kind of blank and bare, which kind of sucks. It also occurs to me that I said this is going to be a short look of highlights for 2013's Toy Fair, yet this is really going on for quite a while, huh? I don't know, there's just so much stuff. They also revealed that Age of Apocalypse Jean Grey. She has a pretty cool outfit. I did enjoy the Age of Apocalypse interpretation of the character. She, of course, had hooked up with Wolverine in that continuity. He was going by the name Weapon X instead. No, it wasn't Weapon X, was it? Weapon X may have been somebody else. At any rate, any continuity where Wolverine gets the girl, sort of fine with me. This is basically the third variant for Jean Grey in that wave, or the third version, not variant, second variant technically. We're also going to be getting a Thor pack for Marvel Universe. This is the first Executioner on the sort of 3 3/4 inch scale. I don't think he's had a 6-inch scale figure yet either, but I imagine eventually he's a Build-A-Figure maybe. Just because you wouldn't think that he'd get a normal figure otherwise. We're also getting a 3 3/4 inch Valkyrie from that pack. She, of course, already has had a 6-inch figure. Then there's going to be a X-Men sort of more recent pack, including a very good-looking White Queen, or Emma Frost. A Cyclossus, not Cyclossus, a Colossonaut. I wonder what the other thing was, Colossus? Yeah. But yeah, the Colossus with the Juggernaut's powers, courtesy of the Fear Itself storyline. Then, of course, another version of Cyclops. Of course, I think it's a different outfit than the one we've seen him in. Oh yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen these in stores yet, but I picked up a pack. They're the Micro Mug Iron Man figures. They're like $3 for a blind box, which is actually a bit considering how tiny they are. This is my finger. This is the figure I got. So, very small. Or to put into perspective, this is what it is next to a slug zombie. It's not even the height of a slug zombie. But very neat little items. I do wish it was a sort of cheaper format, like $2 as opposed to $3, because that would be a little bit more fair. Although even then, as a single item, it kind of will suck no matter what. I mean, something like that you'd think would need like a multi-pack. Other things from Marvel Universe, because I totally got distracted. We saw an Abomination and an A-Bomb, both use the same molds, which originally appeared on the Marvel Universe Rhino. I was thinking, how would they ever recycle this? This could be completely new molds for Rhino, and nope, they managed to somehow do it. They really managed to do it. I mean, both will share a few more parts than the Rhino version, but it's the same torso, same arms, same legs, more or less. Let's see. I'm not sure if you guys saw the Scarlet Spider, but there's going to be a Scarlet Spider in that Jean Grey wave. There's also a Wrecker variant. I don't know what this costume is, but it looks pretty cool. I'll probably just stick with its normal version, though. I wonder if this is like an Age of Apocalypse version. I don't know. Now on the DC front, or for DC collectibles, we saw a new Bombshells. This Poison Ivy's really nice. There's also going to be a deluxe Solomon Grundy coming out from the Batman Arkham City look. And his sort of teeth are messed up, which is kind of weird. These are both items from DC Collectibles, if I haven't made that clear already. Just want to sort of reiterate. It's Marvel, because Mattel won't be doing that sort of stuff, I imagine, at this point. Which is a shame, because I think they probably could do something a little bit different. We're also going to see a bunch of villains. I like this Black Manta. I mean, granted, it's not a huge adjustment from the sort of norm. The Joker in his sort of mechanic outfit, not so much liking the Joker in the storyline so far. the Batman Death of the Family arc. Sort of gets on my skin, especially the way that they just sort of push Harvey Dent to the side. They just make Two-Face into such a joke. That's really annoying. That's probably one of my biggest issues with the Joker. He only really gets his push by sort of pushing other characters down. And finally, we have a really awesome Black Adam, who has this very M. Bison-ish look to him. Very cool stuff. There are a few other highlights from DC Collectibles. I don't really recall what I did with them, but this is Pandora. She's getting her own figure now. If you recall, was introduced Flashpoint, or what was it? Whatever that recent continuity thing was that led up to the New 52. And then, of course, she's a New 52 character. Mattel, I didn't really get much from because Tomopop's event staff didn't get to the thing. I guess it was invite only or something, and then we don't have a regular contact over there, so we didn't get the real press collaterals. They have like a bunch of stuff just listed on the website, but it's just really tiny images, not really of much. But before the event, we saw images of the comedian leaked, which looks okay. We saw Fire, then a whole bunch of new Masters figures. They're going to be doing a Filmation Club. It's going to be 6 figures. Chakotay, I think, looks cool. We've seen 2 others, Batros, and then the last name escapes me. It might have been, no. But yeah, we still need to figure out who the last 3 are. But there's no sort of club exclusive figure for that, so, or whatever. And then, of course, they're doing the Adam West Batman stuff, which is going to general retail. The figures look really funny because they sort of combine the, I guess, aesthetic from the WWE figures and the sort of DC Universe Classics look. So the arms at times will sort of look like one thing, body, legs, or whatever, be joined to like the other. I don't like the look of any of the figures so far, but I'll probably be picking up at least a few just to have likenesses of some of the characters. I think the Frank Gershwin Riddler looks the best so far. I mean, the Burgess Meredith Penguin head sculpt is pretty decent, but, I don't have any of those images out right now. And I apologize for that. I should have grabbed that ahead of time. Diamond Select Toys had a whole bunch of stuff at their booth. I'm not sure how much these things are actually reveals, but look at that. This Infinity Gauntlet can opener. Bottle opener. That's just so freaking cool. It's also going to be a Ghost Rider one. These are really expensive. They're like $18 each. Usually we think bottle opener is more of like a cheap novelty thing, but no. They also have a Galactus head and a Punisher. By the way, they're going to be doing a Marvel Select Silver Surfer, which I'm sort of excited for. That's going to be pretty neat. So far, I've never seen a Marvel Select, Silver Surfer figure, mind you, that's really impressed me. I didn't like the Toy Biz one. I thought that was incredibly jointy, and that the Hasbro version just kind of sucked. At any rate, we also saw the Pacific Rim figures from NECA. NECA? I'm calling him NECA. I like this robot. The other robots don't thrill me as much. They also did the oversized Batman figures as well as some oversized Iron Man figures. These look kind of strange. I mean, granted, the Tim Burton film one looks a bit better. I guess the sort of face underneath does sort of look like Michael Keaton, but if you look at this, the Adam West one, that's just kind of spooky. But yeah, they're also doing a Iron Man based on the Mark 42, which looks decent, and a Captain America, which looks like complete crap. Let's see, do I also have the image of... No, I got rid of it. But yeah, they also unveiled the American Patriot, or what's it, Mobilized Patriot from BioShock Infinity. Really creepy looking thing. It's the sort of George Washington giant puppet with the Gatling gun. So, Definitely something to sort of look out for. Won't be picking that up myself, though. At any rate, those are basically all the Toy Fair things I want to talk about. Obviously, I also wrote a whole bunch of stuff for Tomopop.com, but, you know, it just is what it is. Now, I was trying to make it to the event this year, but due to a miscommunication slash mix-up, I didn't really get the tag to go in there. But the other thing was it happened at the same time as a sort of gigantic snowstorm on the east coast, so in my state I wouldn't have even been able to get out there because we had a sort of a state warning or restriction on driving, so that Saturday night I wouldn't have been able to get out to the Hasbro event, and the Hasbro thing was only available on Saturday. I guess if, you know, had I actually been able to sort of get the connections and hook up and stuff, I could have gone there Sunday. We didn't get that much from it just because I guess a rep there went for the Saturday, then I think he didn't go again until the Tuesday and Wednesday, and he ended up getting sick on Wednesday, so he didn't end up covering every last little thing. But other news that I neglected to mention, they will be bringing back the Diamond Select Mini-Mates for the Ghostbusters line. They're also going to be doing a larger State Puff Marshmallow Bank. They announced Uncle Gilbert or Uncle Gilroy or something for the Monsters Racers line. Of course, that is the Gill Man, or Creature from the Black Lagoon. I wonder if they're even sort of using some of the same parts from their actual figure from their Universal Monsters line. The Build-A-Figure, or Build-A-Staircase in this case, is the Monsters Home Staircase, complete with, I think his name was like Spike or something, the dragon. Very cool. But yeah, this video probably ran to being over 20 minutes long, so sort of apologize for that. Yeah, I don't know if anybody made it to the end, but congratulations, you won. Your reward is knowledge for finishing the video. But definitely a lot to be excited for this year. But, yeah, I guess sort of in the long term, I don't know. I mean, there's some really disturbing trends in the toy market nowadays where they're sort of, I'm not sure if it's so much creating lesser objects, but it might be just splitting the collector segment from the sort of mass retail kitty segment by creating these cheaper figures. I think that'll eventually have ramifications for collectors, which will include greater and greater prices on the collectible level stuff. The Star Wars black figures, those should be $20 each, which is quite a bit over anything that's at retail right now. That was the same price that Mattel tried to do for the Young Justice line, which you recall flopped pretty horribly. But, you know, given that it's Star Wars, I expect those will probably fare a little bit better. But in general, you know, it's a very interesting time to be collecting, as always, because, you know, these general trends. I do hope that they don't keep scaling back the movie lines in the Hasbro front. They did some wonderful stuff for the Iron Man 2 line, but then this one they've done the assemblers, which are, again, like, I think it might just be like 5 points for articulation, like all the heads and limbs and stuff come off and be interchanged, but it's clearly a kiddie product, and they have like some standard figures of the same articulation but without the change feature. And apparently the Wolverine stuff is going to be kind of like that as well now. The Avengers stuff and the new Thor stuff, I believe, is going to just be sort of... The Avengers stuff was lacking in points for articulation. I think they're going to be carrying that forward. It looks like the new Thor stuff might be missing ankle articulation. It's hard to tell whether or not they just decided to recycle some of the molds from their Thor line, which I didn't think were spectacular molds, but it would be better than what they did with the Avengers line, where we just lost out on a whole bunch of articulation. They are coming out with an Avengers series leader figure, so we're getting our first leader on 3 3/4 scale, which is kind of interesting. You'd think that, you know, that would instead go to the Marvel Universe line, but on the plus side, the articulation is a bit stronger on that. It's just sorry, the sculpting is stronger. The articulation kind of sucks. Don't have an image of that. By the way, have you seen the full Ironmonger yet? It's pretty decent. Unfortunately, it's like sort of hunched over and stuff, so you can't get an idea of the full height, but it definitely towers over the other figures. I mean, I'm not overly enthusiastic about the wave, but I'm probably going to end up buying it anyway, just because I sort of want the Ironmonger, despite not really thinking, or not really so much caring about the Ironmonger as a character. The actual figures and the wave itself, I'm sort of really mixed about. I really don't like that Iron Man in the back, the sort of neoclassic, where it does come with it two alternate head sculpts. The issue is it's just based on their older articulation, and it's recycled from one of the 2-pack Iron Man figures, I think. The Iron Patriot in the back there, the one I already picked up, is based on the Extremis, which I guess has this kind of gimped articulation. I mean, in general, it's sort of weird things that Hasbro does. At any rate, I've got to wrap this up because this is just running too long. Until next time, folks.